This is whey. I've just finished making some Greek yogurt, and this is most, but not all, of the whey that I collected from the process. I tend to save whey like this and use it in place of water for when I make bread. I like to make bread because it allows me to use my hands and knead and other things. I could use a bread maker, but that takes the fun out of making your own bread. Really, it does. And this is Abbey, trying her darndest to appear invisible against a backdrop wherein she is the most visible thing ever. And she's settling in for a nice morning. She's had the zoomies. Now she's at a point where I think she's contemplating her daily big nap. And this is my dishwasher, but we don't need to talk about that right now. In terms of TJ news, I probably could have done an Abbey update yesterday about this, but I called the shelter yesterday, and they said that she was at the vet in line waiting to be spayed and vaccinated for the rabies vaccine, and should, if all goes well, be back in the shelter this afternoon. Actually, they said regardless of if it proceeds, she would be back at the shelter this afternoon. But the hope is that she would be back at the shelter this afternoon after having had the procedure done. In theory, that means I could go and pick her up today. However, I'm going to actually spend today getting her space fully ready for her. Which actually does mean that eventually Abbey, who just ran into the lab, is going to be exiled from the suite. And she's not going to like that, but it's necessary in order to allow TJ to get settled and for Abbey and TJ to also start smelling each other's scents without actually encountering each other close up until I'm ready for that. The process I've described before will basically mean that it'll be a few days before TJ and Abbey actually meet face to face. And assuming that goes well, or at least as well as can be expected, well, then by this time next week, I'll just simply have two cats running around. TJ is a year old, while Abbey is 6 months old. Abbey will probably accept TJ because she's still a kitten, although it will probably still be a bit rocky because Abbey is also a bit skittish. Whereas TJ comes from a home of 14 other cats and is highly socialized. So I actually kind of think that TJ would be happier in a home with other cats than without. Whereas, well, I'm sure that Abbey would have been absolutely fine without another cat around. That didn't work out how you planned it, did it, Abbey? Then, but, I mean, what was I saying? Abbey possibly would have been fine as an only cat, but I think she would have been happier with another cat, especially the way that she likes to play. She likes to crab at me. She likes to play with my hands. I've been trying to take care of that by having a toy handy anytime she does that, and so far it's kind of been working. But soon the dynamic is going to change again, and that probably means that Abbey's going to spend another day or two hiding once she realizes something significant has happened. It's just kind of the Abbey way. So that's basically the news. Just Abbey wants us to know how crabby she is. And I think I'll just leave it at that. I'm going to let her have fun, and I'm going to get back to my own. Still not working how you're planning it. I'm not even sure what your plan is. I'll let Abbey be. Fortunately, she doesn't play with cords or anything, or I would be keeping her out of my lab.